Well, all right, class. Today we are going to be talking about SS8H7, and truly, what we're going to be learning about today is about evaluating the key political as well as the social and economic changes that occurred during Georgia during the New South era. Therefore, we're going to be analyzing how the rights were denied to African Americans, but at that same time to blacks through Jim Crow laws, as well as learning through Plessy and Ferguson, as well as the racial violence that includes the 1906 Atlanta Race Massacre. Now, when we look at this room around us, we can actually see that there are many pictures that actually depict these events in a way that truly talks about how this changing scope of land, but also about history, has actually occurred. So before we decide to move on, can anyone actually does anyone actually want to raise their hand to actually talk about what truly what these terms could be about racial violence, but at that same time, Jim Crow laws as well as these racial attacks? Do I have any hands?
What was the question?
The question was, do you have any questions about the Jim Crow laws or Plessy versus Ferguson, as well as these racial violence that occurred? Or would you like to move on as a class? Move on. All right then. So truly, I want every single one of you to actually write this down. The title of what we're going to be learning today is going to be called "The Shadow of the Civil War," essentially setting the stage for segregation. Now that is a very big term, segregation. Can someone actually just, with a raised hand, can someone actually tell or define what that term might be? Yes?
Segregation would mean you separate one group from another.
All right. So separation. But can we also say that separation from one group to another would also come into rights as well as into civil liberties as well? All right. So truly, when we look around this room and when we look at these many horrific attacks that have occurred, is where we have to understand that we are not only just going to be analyzing how these laws have actually truly institutionalized this racial segregation, but also how you're going to be examining various sources and understanding how law and policy is actually reinforcing the systemic inequality. Therefore, you will also reflect upon how race as well as these matters have shaped the individual's access to rights during the American society, so that we can understand this idea for what this engagement as well as representation also means. So certain key terms that we're going to be going through together are going to be, as your classmate has rightfully said, segregation. But also, really direct your attention to this board and really talk about, and with a raised hand, talk about certain words that they want to actually go over in class.
Discrimination.
Okay, discrimination. What would that be? Just read that out.
Unfair treatment of a person or group based on prejudice such as race or religion.
All right, so that means that it's going to still come into our previous term about how there's going to be a difference, yes?
Inferiority.
Inferiority. And please read that out.
The state of being in a lower status or quality than others.
All right, and that is truly what we're going to be learning about as well, yes? De jure. Existing by law or legally enforced. And very much, many of what we have to understand about these racial violence as well as these attacks is where we have to understand that, and the interpretation comes that many of these attacks and violence actually was claimed by law, and this idea of segregation, which actually came in the form of other nations, and the name was called apartheid. So really, in the lesson outline for today is where we're going to be really talking about how this idea of separate but equal, and therefore what discrimination beyond segregation means for even voting rights, but also for economic control, and therefore was separation ever considered equal in a way that were resources as well as the treatment that were given to African Americans as well as to minorities at this time, were they justified as well as we will go into a classroom discussion about how there was daily life being changed through the separate but equal rules. So when we talk about Jim Crow laws, and I want everyone to be writing this down, about how these were actually local laws as well as state laws that were passed primarily in the southern but border states during the years of the late 1800s, but also the mid 1900s. Now, when we talk about the purpose of these laws, it was not only to just segregate as well as separate the African Americans, but also to actually really minuscule as well as minimize their daily participation in virtually every part of public life. Therefore, when we talk about Jim Crow, we can even see that it comes from a minstrel show character that negatively stereotypes black people. So remember, class, this is not going to be an African American representing these changes, but rather it's going to be a Caucasian person in that paint. So very much when we see these laws, they were designed to establish a white supremacy as well as create racial but discrimination during this time that creates a legal but also unofficial term. Hence, there's going to be two separate societies that exist, one for white citizens but also for black citizens. Now, class, is this very, do you want us to really to really clarify any terms, or would you like to move on to certain other questions as well as the worksheets? As a class?
Yes.
Okay. So when we talk about the enforcement of this division, but also the examples of Jim Crow segregation, I'd like to get some hands to really read out the bolded words and really talk out for the rest of the group. Yes.
Separate seating sections on buses and trains. Black citizens had to sit in back.
All right. So we can see that comes into public transportation from this table. Yes.
Separate seating sections on buses and trains. Black citizens.
Yes. So train stations, separate restrooms, as well as separate water fountains. That comes into public facilities. Yes. One more.
Residential laws prevented black people from living in certain neighborhoods, though often not explicitly stated, enforced through other means.
Fantastic. Now, can we as a class even see that this has not only become permeated into the society around us, but it's also created a very second-class treatment of many African Americans at this time? As a class?
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. So what we're going to be doing as a class is we're going to transition into a learning but also working activity. So I want every single one of you to really look into the bins at the center of the table and really pass out those handouts so that we can really talk about them and really discuss about them. All right. So, yes. So truly, when we look at these lessons, is where we can even see that there is going to be a lot of segregation examples underneath the Jim Crow laws, and therefore for the areas of life, and therefore what the examples are and how they actually impact upon African Americans. Now, class, before we even start we start working, is that I want you to even flip the page to the second activity on the back. All right. And I want to hear some, and I truly want to get some hands about how many documents are actually presented and what they are. Yes, from this table.
It was 3.
Yes.
A majority opinion, dissenting opinion, examples of Jim Crow laws.
Yes, absolutely. So these are all separated into document A, document B, and document C. Now, as you can, now as many of you can also direct your attention to, these are all going to be considered as statements or learning statements. And from this is going to be informations for the questions that are going to be on the back. And I want everyone to direct their attention to that. where it's going to come in DOK skills and concepts. Flip the pages. Yes. And from this table, I want to get some hands about what those questions are. Let's talk about them. Okay, we'll go over it as a class in what, according to Justice Brown in Document A, why is segregation not a badge of inferiority? For question 2, compare Justice Brown's view of the law in Document A with Justice Harlan's colorblind view in Document B. But also in question 3 is where we have to identify a common theme or purpose among the Georgia laws listed in Document C about what part of daily life did they control. So, very much class, can we say that we've learned something very interesting today?
Yes.
All right. Because now we're going to be really looking into how does our daily life change into separate but equal rules. And therefore, how there are many signs around you that say about whites only, but also about colors only, and how it actually affects your sense of dignity and also belonging in every day. So let's get like one example about about truly what we talked about in class, about one example about how it truly affects us. Yes.
How it affects us?
Yeah.
We don't get certain privileges that the whites would get.
Absolutely. Okay. And can you go into it about like an example that we did that we
Like
talked about?
we have to go a mile for a colored bathroom or something.
All right. Fantastic. Yes.
Water fountains.
Water fountains. And very much like think about it, because we have water fountains located in the school, but imagine if the water fountains had to be located someplace else. Imagine that. That'd be a huge impact, because these are called civil rights, civil rights and the civil liberties. Yes. So class, very much we can also like say that since our civil liberties will be infringed upon, is where we can even say that even transportation would be also a cause of major concern, right? All right then, fantastic. So truly, class, I really enjoyed these discussions, and very much how we've discussed about the Jim Crow laws, but also about how there has to be a ordinance for these rules to be followed in this manner. So truly, class, let's all work on this as a part of the classroom activity. And thank you all very much for this attention, and for very much for giving your ownership, but at the same time your participation to these topics as well. So thank you all very, very much, and let's all work on these topics, and do bring any questions and discussions or any terms to my attention as possible. Thank you all very much.